The grammar of this unit is talking about the passive. This is unit number two. Crime doesn't pay, and this is the grammar. When do we use the passive? We use the passive to put the focus on an action rather than who did the action. The passive is formed with be, verb to be. At any tense, that means we use the past, we use the present perfect, or we can use even the future. And the main verb will be past participle. Look at the example. The crime was committed early in the morning. Was shows that this sentence is in the past. The murder weapon has been found. Has shows that this sentence is in the present perfect. The murderer will be brought to justice. Will shows that this sentence is in the future. To include who did the action, we use the preposition by. We can say the burglar was arrested by the police. So it's optional. Note, newspapers often use the passive to report crime stories. Why? Because we don't focus on who did the action. We focus on the action. So newspapers always try to use the passive to report crime stories. So what is the rule of the passive? The rule of the passive will be like this. We start with the subject. We start with the subject. Then we have verb to be. Then we have the verb in past participle. Look at the example again. If we have active sentence like Ali eats an apple, change it into passive. We know this sentence is in the present because we have is here. We can say an apple is eaten by Ali. As we said, we use preposition by to include who did the action. We add this. If you stopped on an apple is eaten, it's good. It seems to be a good sentence. Okay, what about if we have Ali ate an apple? Ali ate an apple. This is in the past. So we should say an apple was eaten by Ali. Okay, this is the past passive by Ali. If we have present perfect, Ali has eaten an apple. We could say an apple has been eaten by Ali, has been eaten by Ali. Okay, this is for the passive for the first part. So if we have sentences in active, we can use this rule. The subject will be from the object of the active sentence. Then we add verb to be, then we use past participle. After that, we can add by to include who did the action. Next part is talking about past perfect, past perfect progressive. Let's go to the rule of past perfect. We use the past perfect to talk about an activity or event that was completed before another activity or event in the past. So that means we have two actions in the past. One of them happened before the other one. So we use past perfect with had. So this is the main rule. The main rule will be had plus past participle. Had plus past participle. Had, and then we have plus, and then we have past participle. Look at the example. Rico had forgotten to lock the door before she left the house. This is the past simple, and this is the past perfect. We have two actions in the past. The first one was completed before the second one. So Rico had forgotten to lock the door before she left the house. That means she left the house after she had forgotten to lock the door. Okay? And then we have the criminal had already escaped by the time the police arrived. That means this action happened after that action. The criminal had already escaped by the time the police arrived. So this is what we call it in English, the perfect. Next we have the past perfect progressive. This is the second tense that we have here. It's the past perfect progressive. We use it with had plus been. We use it with had plus been, then we have ing. When do we use it? We use the past perfect progressive when the activity was in progress at the time another activity or event happened in the past. We can say Juan had been getting cash from the ATM when he was mugged. The driver had been swerving between the lanes when the Pacific officer stopped him. So we usually use this tense with when because we have two things happened uh, nearly at the same time while another activity is or was in progress because it is in the past. So we use two actions here. If we have past perfect, we can say that we use two actions. We use had plus participle, and then we have past simple, and the second one when the activity was in progress. Next, we will go to the exercise. Now we have here some exercise about the passive and the present, the past perfect and the past perfect progressive. Let's have this number one as an example. Rewrite the active sentences as passive sentences. So we have active sentences. We want to change them to passive sentences. Police found the suspect wearing a cow costume. The suspect, so this is the subject here, and it was object. We say the suspect was found wearing a cow costume. Next, number one. A 92-year-old grandmother chased and caught the criminal. What is the object here? The object is the criminal. We start with the criminal. We can say the criminal, and this is in the past. The criminal was chased and caught by a 92-year-old grandmother. The criminal was chased and caught by a 92-year-old grandmother. Next, number two. We only do two sentences or two examples of each exercise. The police discovered 54 money boxes in the suspect's home. What is the object? The object is 54 money boxes. We start with this. We will say 54 money boxes were discovered in the suspect's home. This is for this exercise, and you should write the rest of these sentences. Okay, next exercise, exercise B. Write the newspaper headlines as full passive sentences. That means we want to use passive sentences. Killer sentenced to die for second time. We say killer has been sentenced to die for the second time. Man accused of driving stolen car to court. Man has been accused for driving a stolen car to court. Number two, a man jailed for driving too fast. We can say a man was jailed for driving too fast because we have jailed here and we use was. Okay. Next, we will complete the exercise. Take a look to the answers of 3 to 6. Next exercise, exercise C. Combine the sentence to create one past perfect or past perfect progressive sentence. Look at this sentence. We have the first sentence and we have the second sentence. Marco was walking down a poorly lit street. He was mugged. Marco had been, because we have was, had been walking down a poorly lit street when he was mugged. Tanya was talking on the phone. She heard an intruder in the house. So the sentence will be uh, Tanya had been talking on the phone when she heard an intruder in the house. Next, number two. He was a trusted politician. He was arrested for stealing state funds. Before he had been, or before he was arrested for stealing state funds, he had been a trusted politician. Complete the exercise. Like these, we have these answers here. So that means we have in this exercise sometimes we have two actions in each sentence. We have two actions in each sentence in the past. Sometimes when the action was in progress, and sometimes if we have an action before another action. The last exercise that we have, complete the newspaper article with the correct form of the verbs. For some answers, both the simple past and the past perfect forms are possible. So that means we have two choices sometimes. For the first one, let's take the first one and the second one as an example. Stanton, Texas, John Wilkinson, 24, attempted, because it is in the past. We use attempted, okay, to rob the Stanton drugstore yesterday. Wilkinson had spent, okay, had spent weeks planning every detail of the robbery. We have here two choices. We have he bought or had bought. Had bought or bought. All of these are correct. You complete the answers of this exercise, and that is all for today's lesson. You will do the exercise that I would send to you. Hope you understand, and next meeting inshallah I will see you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.